Okay, you can go ahead and start the meeting.
Good evening. I call to order this regular joint meeting of the Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls Planning Commissions, and I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones have been silenced, and please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.gov site for viewing by the general public. The two planning commissions work together on land use and zoning matters within the rural areas surrounding the city. This area is displayed on the screen. When this joint hearing is completed, the joint Sioux Falls and County Planning Commission will adjourn and the next regular business meeting will begin to consider items beyond the joint zoning jurisdiction with Sioux Falls. Any final action taken on the conditional use permit application tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, December 4th at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission and City Council for a joint hearing on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024, at or after 5 p.m. Joint meetings of the County Commission and City Council are held at Carnegie Town Hall, 235 West 10th Street. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? We'll move on to the regular agenda. We'll follow our normal hearing procedure. Planning staff will present their report, and then we'll require the petitioner to come to the podium and make a statement or answer any questions. Anyone from the audience wishing to address the item shall be recognized and move to the podium and state their name and address for the record. Each member of the public will be limited to 5 minutes and will only be allowed to address the commission once per item. The Planning Commission will then discuss the matter and take appropriate action. The regular agenda, item number 1, the approval of the minutes of the September 25th, 2023 meeting.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the September 25th, 2023 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes on the county side.
On the city side, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All right, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item number 2 is conditional use permit 23-56 to exceed 2,400 square feet of accessory building space requesting 13,080 square feet on the properties legally described as Tract 1, T.M. Schultz Edition. There is an exception of Lot H-1, end of exception, southeast quarter, and the south 132 feet, the west 301.04 feet, the east 351.04 feet, and the north 670.5 feet. South half, southeast quarter, all in Section 21, Township 101 North, Range 50 West. That is in Wayne Township. Petitioner is Scott Kuhan. He's also the property owner. Location 1601 South Ellis Road. Mason?
Good evening, Commissioners. Mason Steffen from the County Planning Office. As explained by the chair, the petitioner is requesting conditional use permit approval to allow 13,080 square feet of residential accessory building on their property. Currently, between the two properties, there is 9,080 square feet there's 9,080 square feet on the south property, and the north property, there is one shed that would be going away if this request would be approved. The north property, as I said, is a vacant lot, and they're requesting to build a 40 by 100 detached accessory building on this vacant parcel. Just as some background on this parcel, within the last year, the petitioner has discussed the potential of rezoning this property to allow for commercial storage units within the commercial zoning district with the city staff and county planning staff. At that time, it was explained to the petitioner that since they are surrounded by the city limits of Sioux Falls any further commercial or residential development is unlikely to be supported unless they are annexed into the city. I did do a site visit of this property earlier this month, and I'll just go through some of those pictures here. So it is on South Ellis Road near the intersection of West 26th Street. As you can see here, the south property has this one dwelling and then these 3 large accessory buildings. This detached garage is kind of an accessory dwelling unit type situation. It was approved as a temporary dwelling in the 70s and was never converted back to a garage, so it's kind of just been grandfathered in as a accessory dwelling on this property. So it's not considered in the accessory building space for this specific request. Here's just the general site plan that shows they want to put it on the back portion of this lot, generally in line with their existing buildings. And here's looking to the north with the new sanctuary apartment units to the north, and then directly where these trees are is where the building is potentially going to be located. And here's the existing house on the property. And here's kind of looking from the southwest, looking at the existing buildings. So with conditional use permits, there are 6 criteria that we generally consider for conditional use permit requests. Number 1 is the effect upon the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the uses already permitted and upon property values in the immediate vicinity. There are no larger accessory buildings in the immediate area due to the fact that the property is entirely surrounded by the city of Sioux Falls. And within the city, most of the land area is designated for small lot residential properties, which this building would not be compatible with. In general, though, the building would not have an overly negative impact on the use of the neighboring property or their property taxes, as long as the use of the building remains accessory to the residential use of the site. Number 2, that the effect upon the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding vacant property for use is predominant in the area. The proposed site does meet all the applicable setbacks for this accessory building, which would help minimize any off-site issues to the surrounding properties. All the other vacant land in the area is within the city of Sioux Falls and is expected to be mostly developed into small lot residential, as explained earlier. Therefore, allowing this proposed accessory building on this vacant lot would have an impact on the city's ability to annex and develop the property in the future, which is the main reason for denial of this request. Number 3, that utilities, access roads, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities are provided. The petitioner does have several accesses onto this property. I do reference 2 in the staff report. There's one directly onto this property right here, one directly onto their house here, and then this one isn't technically theirs because it goes through a separate property owned by a different property owner, but there is access onto this road back here through this driveway up to the property as well. Number 4 is that off-street parking and loading requirements are met. The property is large enough to meet the off-street parking requirements for a residential property, and the proposed structure would also add additional off-street parking to the property, and there are no loading requirements for this type of residential accessory building. Number 5, that measures are taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, and lighting, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance. Only the petitioner's personal property would be allowed to be stored within the proposed accessory building, and no commercial business or storage would be allowed in the building at any time. As explained before, the petitioner has inquired about having commercial storage units on this lot, so this would be an important portion to point out that this building cannot be used for commercial storage. It would only be their own personal storage if approved by the commission. Number 6, that health, safety, and general welfare of the public and the comprehensive plan. In general, the health, safety, and general welfare of the public will not be negatively affected by the proposed construction of this accessory building. However, this proposed building is contrary to several of the goals of the 2035 Envisioned Comprehensive Plan for Minnehaha County. Specifically, there are 2 goals within the future land use plan. Goal 2 within the future land use plan supports growth in the transition area that is compatible with municipal comprehensive plans. As explained, this property is entirely surrounded by the city of Sioux Falls, so allowing development on this lot, on this vacant lot outside of the city, is contrary to the city municipal comprehensive plans. Also, goal 4 within the future land use plan encourages the annexation of subdivisions that are surrounded by city limits and looks to focus new growth and development within municipalities wherever possible. Therefore, again, it is entirely surrounded by the city and therefore should be annexed before any development takes place on the property. Therefore, with all that, staff finds that the conditional use permit 2356 is contrary to the goals and policies of the 2035 Envision Comprehensive Plan for Minnehaha County and recommends denial of this conditional use permit. And I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for him?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead,
Please
Kurt.
Apologize, I'm a avid West Sider myself, but I'm having trouble envisioning where this property is. Is it north of 26th Street on Ellis or south?
It's north. So this is the vacant lot on the northwest corner of 26th and Ellis. So right here would be the Casey's on 26th, if you know where. So it's northwest of the Casey's. If
Thank
that
you.
helps you.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Joe?
can you give any history or background on how this hasn't been annexed to this point? Just kind of out of curiosity, how do we get to an island like this?
That might be a better question for the city planning staff. I would assume it's, the city can't force them to annex and the property owners, aren't willing or don't want to for whatever reason, but, that's typically the case.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
So I've got a question for you. I think what's going to be really pertinent to this discussion is the amount of land that's annexed around the property. And in that location map in the upper left, the star's really big, and you can't really see how much land is really annexed into the west of the subject property. Do we have the ability to zoom in on that to show that this is fully enclosed? Does the city have another map that we can take a look at to show how much land is actually annexed west of here?
I might be able to pull one up fast, maybe.
And perhaps we don't need it right away, but before we vote, that'd be something that would be nice to see.
Oh, that's the internet, that's why. So this property, these 3 properties right here, the bottom 2 are the 2 that we're discussing here tonight. So this one is the one with all the buildings on it, and this is the vacant one that we would, the proposed building would go on, and then the one directly to the north of them is also unannexed. But yes, if you zoom out, you can see that it is entirely surrounded, and it's almost half mile to the west is annexed from
That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Guess not at this time. Is the petitioner here? Will you please step forward and state your name and address, sir?
My name is Scott Cahoon, and I live at 1601 South Ellis Road. I have lived there for more than 20 years, going on 25 years. They say the city has surrounded me, but I was there first. And the city has just recently surrounded me within the last 5 or 6 years. So I was told when they redid the Ellis Road that I was grandfathered in as rural residential and that nothing would change. And I even sold a piece of my 1605 property to the city to allow the Ellis Road to go in. And I have 1 acre of property there that is not being utilized at all, and I would like to put a storage building there. And I talked to pretty much all my neighbors, and nobody has got a problem with it. The city might have a problem with it because they want somebody to buy my land and put some commercial development or a strip mall or something like that in there. But I have no desire to go anywhere. I like where I live. And I'm trying to improve my property because I live there. And I'm petitioning to put a building there under a 20-year landowner who's since surrounded by the city. When I moved out there in 2000, you could see Memorial Middle School, and that was it. And then they've since developed out me, which I understand. I ain't saying that they're not gonna. But I was told I was grandfathered in. So that's, I'm here to say I've been there first and I want to put up a building. So, a couple questions that you were asking about the, how far back and all that kind of stuff. If you want to ask, I'll answer them again. Being the landowner, I know 20 years history of that land.
Did you have any questions, Joe?
Well, Madam Chair, I think your answers to this point have been responsive to my request of just how did we end up at an island, and you gave me some history, so that was helpful.
The Schultz farm, that's where I live. That was the old farm site. I think like 13 acres ended up being the Mary Beth development out there and like that. And then where the Nielsen construction apartments are, all that land back there was another farm. So once those two farms sold to developers, that surrounded me and Mark, which is the person to the north. And that's how we became an island. But neither one of us want to go anywhere because it's our home, you know.
Anyone else have any questions for him?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Kurt.
Mr. Cahoon, I was just curious, the proposed building looks like it's going to go north-south, you know, lengthwise. Is it going to be accessed from the east, or is it going to be a
It's pretty
north?
much going to be kind of like this building here, but right here. And then there's a driveway right here, and I plan to take this tree down and maybe this tree down and then put like excess parking, whatever you want to call it, like here in front of the building. So yeah, it would come through the 1505 address, maybe loop around, because those three big trees that he said would be where they're located, I'm keeping those because I like them. So I want to put it right on the back of the property. And I may have to deal with a couple of these trees, but these three big I want to keep. Unless I'm asking for permission, but the builder will dictate what has to come down. Because, you know, whatever they say is in their way or whatever. But that's pretty much where I want it to be. And I was talking to him about how far the limits were and whatever, I think he said 3 feet, and I would make it 6. I would double whatever it is to keep it off, you know, make sure nobody gets upset about it.
Anyone else have any questions for him?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Brian.
what's your intentions with this building, or what do you plan to do with it?
Well,
Just personal storage, or?
now, all these three buildings are already full. I got a lot of junk. And I like to keep my junk not visible. When I say junk, it's not junk. It's like I have 4 classic cars. I got 2 campers in this building. I got some boats, and I got lifts and a generator in there, and I am Cornerstone painting, so I have all my painting bands in here, you know, so I have a lot of stuff in there. But these 2 buildings are uninsulated, and I was wanting to build a new one that was insulated so it wouldn't be so cold in the winter. And I'm not gonna run a business out of that. I'm not gonna paint in there or anything like that. It's just, I'm maxed out on storage. And if anybody wants to come out and look and see that I'm maxed out, they can. Just like anybody else that lives out in the rural, if they got space, they find a way to fill it.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience care to address this item? Commissioners?
Madam Chair,
Joe?
get the conversation started. I appreciate the history and kind of a sense of being grandfathered in or still remaining within rural residential, and I think those rules do still apply. I agree to that extent, but one of the rules is still the amount of accessory building space that's allowed. So we're still, that doesn't change the framework of the decision as a conditional use permit. And with our framework of decision-making across our 6 elements, especially the comprehensive plan, I think this is one where I'd give a lot of deference to the city and what its future plans are and the future use of all of that land immediately surrounding this area. So I would be leaning towards staff recommendation of a denial, but open to other ideas.
Anyone else have any further comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I guess I'd make a motion to deny the permit.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second of denial for conditional use permit 23-56. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the denial?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. City side?
All right, on the city side, a motion so we can start a discussion.
Madam Chair, just keeping with the city's request that we always post in the affirmative, if you will, I'll make a motion to approve the item for purposes of discussion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the table to approve. Further discussion.
My thoughts on this, I do understand the need as we encapsulate the subject properties, out of city limits, that they should conform, that they should be annexed in. I think, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence personally with my thought process that this accessory building is on a separate piece of property. It isn't going to stray over the property lines, although the same applicant owns both properties. I could see someday it become a residential situation inside the city that has a really awesome detached garage then. But you just don't know what that form is gonna look like going forward in the future. And so I'm, again, absent any formal comments from the city as to, their thoughts and annexation and such like that. I guess I'm leaning towards supporting the denial of this conditional use at this time.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chair, I think we need to support the plan and take into consideration the other suggestions that are part of this application. So my plan is to not support it.
Right. Any other discussion before we call for a vote?
Madam Chair, I'll just echo Mr. Paulson's comments. We looked at the comprehensive plan on these, and to me, these are usually pretty clear cut, and we've got quite the precedent of denying these. And we've got an annexation process in place, and you can look certainly around the neighborhood to see that that's been followed in different instances. So I also will not be supporting this tonight.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval, please say yes. All right. All those opposed, please say yes.
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 All right.
Thank you. Any old business? New business? No. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to it. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn on this.
All right. On the city side, we have a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second. All right. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you. Oh, yeah, we won't see you. No. This is it.
It's nice for you guys.